There have been some incredible price increases in Kansas City metro homes from 2024 to 2025. You won't believe how much the #1 area grew, so keep on watching for that. But number 10 is Grandview. Grandview is an area that you would not expect to be on this list. In past videos, when I've made content on the top 10 areas that have shrunk or depreciated in Kansas City, in the Kansas City Metro, Grandview sometimes appears on that list. But now Grandview is appearing on this list of top 10 areas that have grown. The reason that it's grown is because it's still near the metro. You're 20 minutes south of downtown Kansas City. It's very affordable and it's pretty young. The demographic there is around 33 years old, so it's a pretty young area in the Kansas City Metro for the most part. The median home price in Grandview this year is about $239,000. That is up from $215,000 from just last year. So you can see that's over 10% growth, and that's only the number 10 area on our list. There's no shortage of beautiful parks in Grandview, but the main thing that's attracting people to Grandview is the affordability and the fact that you are only 20 minutes outside of downtown Kansas City. Another thing that is attracting people to Grandview, or maybe even causing some people to leave Grandview, is if you don't know what IHOP is, that's not a Waffle House or a pancake house, an acronym called for the International House of Prayer. And it's a big church that started in the Grandview Red Bridge area. There are a lot of clients. I've had actually 2 or 3 clients now who are actually moving out of that area, mostly because there's some turmoil within that particular large church, but there are also people moving in to be closer to that area as well. So Grandview is a prime area for young families to move into, especially if they want to have access to everything right near Kansas City. Now, homes in Grandview are selling pretty fast. On average, only about 7 to 10 days on the market, which is why if you want to move to Grandview or anywhere else in Kansas City, give us and our team a call, 816-4MOVE-KC. Call us, text us, send us an email. We would be more than happy to help you relocate to Kansas City. Even if you're just going to rent for a year, we would love to have that conversation with you to locate which area of the Kansas City Metro you're going to want to target. Number 9 in our list is Merriam, Kansas. Fun fact about Merriam is that Merriam has the only IKEA in the entire Kansas City Metro. It's also located in Johnson County. It's relatively affordable and it's fairly close to downtown. Many of the things that made Grandview an attractive area are also going to carry on to Merriam. The schools in the Merriam area, the Shawnee Mission School District, top-notch schools. You can't say that about all the areas of this list, but for sure, Shawnee Mission is a top-ranked school area. So if you have kids or you plan to have kids, you're in good hands in Merriam, Kansas. Honestly, you're in good hands in most of Johnson County. And for young professionals like myself, you're going to be only 20 to 25 minutes commute to downtown Kansas City, and you can get to Overland Park pretty quickly. There really isn't anything far from Merriam, Kansas. The median price point of homes in Merriam, Kansas went up from $311,000 in 2024 to $348,000 in 2025. That is a huge increase. And if you want to get a home there, homes sell way faster than Grandview, anywhere from 2 to 5 days on the market. So if you aren't quick, that home is going to be snatched up. Let me tell you a story about a young professional that actually reached out through this channel to help find a home. We were going to home to home to home to home, and we could not get anything under contract. We were looking in Merriam, Lenexa, Overland Park, all the way down to Olathe. We finally got them in a home, but it took 5 or 6 different offers, well over asking price, before they could even find the home that they wanted. Another thing too is that when we were making these offers, not only were we going over asking price, but a lot of other people were waiving inspections and just deciding not to do inspections, and we were losing out on homes like that. So again, give us a call. We can help guide you through this market. We don't want you to waive inspections. We don't want you to have to do anything that you're uncomfortable doing. But in Merriam, Kansas, things are going very, very fast. We would love to chat with you about exactly what you're looking for. So that moves us to the number 8 area, and that is DeSoto, Kansas. Staying in Johnson County, just like Miriam, DeSoto is making the first appearance on this list since I've been doing this for 2 years. It's not really surprising though, it just is surprising how long it took for DeSoto to actually appear on this list, because in this past month, our team connected with 2 different workers from the Panasonic power plant that has just opened a few days ago. These workers are moving into DeSoto and the surrounding areas in order to work at this brand new Panasonic power plant. This power plant is going to make batteries for electric vehicles, and so they're going to start production right away. This is a long time in the making. It's probably the biggest economic development in the Kansas City metro area in terms of jobs, new careers, all of that stuff, and it just opened. It's going to employ thousands of people, and they're already starting to move in. So if you're looking to move in, again, give us a call. Besides the power plant, I've spent plenty of time in DeSoto, and it's a blend of like small town charm while still having access to downtown Kansas City. You're going to be farther than Miriam, farther than Grandview. You're going to be about 30 to 35 minutes away. But the vibe in DeSoto is going to be much calmer, much more country, much more rural. If you want to find big plots of land, DeSoto is a better place to do it than any of the other 2 areas that I've already mentioned on this list. And what you're going to see on this list too is that rural areas outside the outskirts of the Kansas City metro, they are growing quite a bit. There are a lot of people that want to be out in these rural areas and out in these areas where they can find land, where they can find the peace and quiet, and they don't want to be near the hustle and bustle of the city. For us, we like urban living, but there are plenty of people coming here from all sorts of parts of the country that don't want urban living. They want something that's a lot more simple, and that's why DeSoto is on this list. DeSoto, the median home price has gone from $497,000 in 2024 to $557,000 in only 1 year. That's a total growth of over, again, 10%. And they sell in about 10 to 15 days, which gives you a little bit more time than, say, Miriam, but it still moves pretty fast, especially people who are moving out there buying the new builds, who are going to be executives at that power plant, overseeing the people with thousands of jobs. So staying in Johnson County, sure, you're going to notice a pattern to this list. Number 7 is Lenexa, Kansas. There's a ton of stuff to do in Lenexa. We recently discovered Sarco Trails Park, which is a gem with like lakes, trails, a splash pad. It's going to be perfect for your kids a sunny afternoon. And what I've heard is that Sarco Trails Park is going to have one of the best Christmas activities around the Kansas City metro. So if you want great Christmas lights, Sarco Trails Park is the place to go, because according to people that have been there, it's relatively cheap, or it might even be free. I might have to look that up, but they also do like these Christmas boats that go around. So that's something that we're going to check out pretty soon. They've got a brand new community center. I guess it's not new anymore. It's a few years old. We've been to the splash pad there. There's tons of stuff to do in Lenexa, and you're just a little bit farther out than Miriam. Actually, right in between Miriam and DeSoto is kind of where Lenexa is located. The median home price jumped from $497,000 in 2024 to $557,000 in Q2 of 2025. Now, what we're doing is we're comparing quarter to quarter. So the middle 3 months, April, May, June of the housing market this year compared to the middle 3 months, April, May, June of the housing market last year is exactly what we're trying to do, to compare these areas apples to apples, to make sure that you have the most recent and updated information about the best areas to buy a home in Kansas City, because so many people when they're moving here are asking, should I rent or should I buy? If you're going to buy, make sure you're buying in an area that is going to be appreciating, especially if you're not sure if you're going to stay for 5, 7, or 10 years. If you're going to move to Kansas City and buy a home, you're going to want to make sure that you stay for at least 5 to 7 years, because that's how long it's going to take for you to guarantee that you will not lose money on your home. Now, we have helped clients who have moved here and then in a year or two needed to move out, and they have sold their home and made okay money, or at least broken even, but you're not in the business of home ownership to break even. You want to at least make and store some equity when you sell your home. So that's why you're going to want to be in there for at least 5 years, preferably closer to 10, to make sure that your investment is protected and you can earn that money back when you go and sell a home. So Lenexa is a great place if you're going to target moving here. Lenexa is going to be a great place for that, because you've got the schools, you've got the Johnson County maintenance, it's beautiful, you've got all the stuff to do, and that's why it jumped so much year over year. Now, moving back to the Missouri side where we started with Grandview, here's another area that I would not have expected to be on this list, and that is Excelsior Springs, Missouri. When I first started tracking these stats and making these videos of like the best places to buy a home in this quarter and then the worst places to buy a home in this quarter in terms of like appreciation and depreciation, Excelsior Springs was always on the list of places where home prices decreased. The reason that I thought home prices were decreasing in Excelsior Springs is because I thought it's probably too far out of the way. If you're looking at a map, Excelsior Springs is located in the northeast quadrant of the Kansas City metro. It's near Lawson, it's near Kearney, it's near all of these areas up there. Now, you're going to see that many of these areas are also going to appear on this list later, so a little bit of a teaser. But Excelsior Springs was always on the list of areas where you don't want to move because home prices were going down year over year. The thing that makes Excelsior Springs special is a few things. The Springs, I think it was, I read the backstory. Basically, it was founded in the 1880s. I think it was like a farmer's daughter was like, she was cured of a disease because of the springs. I don't really know the entirety of the story, and I don't know if it's true, but Excelsior Springs still has the Hall of Waters where they really kind of emphasize this history of Excelsior Springs. And then because of the reputation of it being having these healing springs, it's became a kind of world-class health hotspot. And so you have a lot of people going there for the springs. You also have people going there for the Elms Hotel. The Elms Hotel is a historic hotel. Honestly, I think it's haunted. If you look at my Excelsior Springs tour video, I go through. There's some pretty cool pool areas, but according to the stories, it is supposed to be haunted. Whether you believe in that or not, I don't know. But the Elms Hotel is a big attraction there. So Excelsior Springs was on the list of depreciating areas, but now it's on the list of appreciating areas. So let me give you the stats. In 2024, in quarter two, the average home was $237,000. It's jumped all the way up to $291,000 in 2025. That's a huge jump for a year to year. Just again, taking 3 months out of the year, comparing them to the last 3 months of this year compared to the last 3 months of last year, that's a huge jump, and that's why Excelsior Springs is on this list. Now, you're going to have to tune in to see if Excelsior Springs can continue to keep up the pace of making this trend appearing on the top 10 list every quarter. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, like this video, it really does help YouTube push this video to other people who might be interested in real estate in Kansas City or relocating to Kansas City. Now, moving out of Excelsior Springs, but staying in a rural area, we're going to go directly west of the metro, head to the Kansas side, and go to Lansing, Kansas. Unlike Excelsior Springs, Lansing, Kansas has appeared on this list multiple times. Like I said before, rural areas are growing quickly, and Lansing is a beautiful rural area. It's only got about 11,000 people, and it's got kind of a very sparse, spread out suburban vibe. Lots of friendly people, a lot of people who just kind of want to be out there with land, but not too far away from the city. That's going to be the type of person that wants to live in Lansing. It's a pretty safe area. The super low crime rate is going to be relatively safe, and then home growth has jumped up quite a bit from 327,000 to 385,000. Now, what are you going to get for that median price point home in Lansing, Kansas? Well, you're probably going to get either something that's anywhere from 1,500 to 1,800 square feet on maybe half an acre, or if you're going to get something that's a little bit older, you might be able, in that kind of median $385,000 price point, you might be able to find something that's on 1 or 2 acres out in Lansing, Kansas. It's not going to be impossible to find. You only have about 5 days though to get that home in Lansing once you see it, because it gets snapped up pretty quick, at least according to median days on market. It's going to get snapped up pretty quickly. So if you see a home in Lansing that you like, you've got to be ready. You've got to have already called our team. You've got to get set up so we can get you into that home to make sure that you don't miss it. There was one time where one of my clients put an offer on a home in Lansing. We were one of 15 other offers. Now, when it came time to decide between our offer and another person's offer, they picked the other person's offer even though we were $3,000 higher, because the other person was a veteran. They had a VA loan, and that's how they knew they were a veteran. And it was stated to us that we weren't picked because they wanted to pick a veteran, which we respect, obviously. But that was a huge gut punch to our clients. We ended up getting them a different home in a different area of Kansas City, but that's what I remember about Lansing, Kansas. Moving back over to the Missouri side of the metro, actually pretty close to Excelsior Springs, is number 4, Lawson, Missouri. Lawson is located again in the northeast quadrant next to Excelsior Springs, so that indicates that, again, the rural areas are growing, and then areas like Excelsior Springs, Lawson, Kearney, these are all great places to buy homes. Surprisingly, Kearney does not appear on this list. It has appeared on this list multiple times before, but if you don't know where Kearney is, it is the biggest kind of area outside of Liberty in the northeast part of the Kansas City metro. There's plenty of stuff to do in Lawson. It's mostly going to be outside. There's a city lake complex, 25 acres of fishing, bass, crappie, catfish, kayaking. You can do all that kind of stuff. There's trails, disc golf, but it's going to be mostly outside stuff. If you're going to want anything in the city, then it's going to be anywhere from a 35 to 45 minute trip all the way down into Kansas City, depending on the traffic. So you're going to be a little bit farther away than some people might like. But there are tons of people who don't mind that rural vibe. I remember my first time out to Lawson, I was a brand new real estate agent. I had never been to Lawson before. And you got to remember, I moved here from California 7 years ago. And so when I went out to Lawson, I was like, where the heck am I? I am all the way out here. I'm driving 45 minutes outside, and it's just nothing but grass, nothing but trees, nothing but corn, and something that I certainly wasn't used to. I've grown to definitely appreciate more rural areas and the land that you can have and the peace and quiet that you can have out there. But I can tell you, when I was first moving here, I had no clue that areas like that even existed so close to a major metropolitan area. So again, Lawson jumped up 20% year over year. So listen to this. The median home price in 2024 was $237,000. It jumped to $283,000. That's a 20% increase year over year in Lawson, Missouri. And so for those of you who might be watching from inside Kansas City in these urban areas, one of the things that you might want to take note of is that these rural areas outside where you can find land, they are growing quite a bit. They are growing, and they are growing aggressively. Because when people like myself move here from California, a 20 to 30 to even 45 minute drive to Kansas City, to the downtown metro, that's really nothing for people like me who have grown up driving 30 to 45 minutes going anywhere. Because if you think about moving from Los Angeles traffic, 30 to 45 minutes, you can get maybe 10 miles. Here, you're not going to run into that type of traffic, and in 30 or 45 minutes, you could be well outside the Kansas City metro. So you got to think about that when you're thinking about who's relocating here and what they're wanting, because there are plenty of people who do want land. Now, that moves us to number 3, and that is completely a flip, because we're going to a suburb that is right outside downtown Kansas City, and that is Riverside, Missouri. Riverside is one of the most unique places in the metro, and one of the best places, in my opinion, to live. I don't necessarily want to be out on 3 or 4 acres. I really do want to be near the urban core. I like urban living. We live in Midtown. We're a few minutes away from Country Club Plaza. We're 10 minutes away from downtown Kansas City, and Riverside is 10 minutes away from downtown, but you have great schools. You have the Park Hill School District. You're located, again, right near North Kansas City and everything it is that you want to do. It's an amazing place to call home. And there are some beautiful homes in Riverside, especially if you can snag one that has a great view of the city. We featured it before in some of our videos. But let me tell you a story. I was showing a client homes in Riverside. And one of the things that you do as you're in real estate is that people will give you the alarm code. So they'll have an alarm that they can turn on and turn off, and then they give you a key. You get in, and they give you a key code that you can use to turn off the alarm. Well, in this listing, the other realtor did not give me a key code to turn off the alarm, so I did not know the code to turn off the alarm, and the alarm went off. Okay, loud, blaring noise. All my clients and I, we stepped outside because we didn't want to be inside the house when it was blaring like that. I kid you not, within a minute, maybe a minute and a half, the Riverside police were at the door checking on us. Now, they were super kind, just basically said, hey, what are you doing? Showed them my card, showed them the fact that I had a showing appointment. They left, they let us do our thing, right? But the thing that struck me is response time. Because if you live in Kansas City, Missouri proper, and you call the police, like if I were to dial 911 right now, and we've done it before because we live in an area where, stuff goes down sometimes. So if you call 911, sometimes you will get put on hold, and you might get put on hold for as long as 5 to 7 minutes. In Riverside, the response was instant. Also, when I was showing these clients homes, it was during a pretty cold time, and the snowplows were just going constantly. Whereas if you live in other parts of Kansas City, sometimes the snowplows don't come for a few hours and you can be stuck. I mean, our neighborhood didn't get plowed for a few hours. So the amenities, the utilities, all of that, those things in Riverside are really, really nice, which explains why the median home price jumped from $509,000 in Riverside all the way to $582,000 in Riverside. The average home price jumped from $536 all the way to $615, which is a 14% growth. And because of these higher price points, the homes in Riverside can sit for a little bit longer. And so if you do want to buy one, you do have a little bit more time. This is not the case with the number 2 area, which is another really unique place in the Kansas City metro, and that is Bonner Springs, Kansas. Bonner Springs is a strange part of the metro is because it is the only city that is located in 3 different counties. If you don't know, there are 6 main counties that make up most of the Kansas City area, and 3 of the 3 counties on the Kansas side are Leavenworth County, Wyandotte County, and Johnson County. Bonner Springs is kind of located in the Bermuda Triangle of where all these counties kind of meet. So there's a Bonner Springs address that's in Leavenworth, a Bonner Springs address that is in Wyandotte, and one that is in Johnson County. The only reason you're going to want to know that is, number 1, it's cool trivia and it's a cool thing to know. But number 2, for taxes, that can affect you. If you're paying Johnson County taxes versus Wyandotte County taxes versus Leavenworth County taxes, that can affect where you choose to live in Bonner Springs. Also, one thing about Bonner Springs is that parts of Bonner Springs are very near the Legends outlets. The Legends outlets are in the kind of the western part of Kansas, of the Kansas City metro, near, if you're getting out to Topeka or Lawrence, that's where the Legends outlets are located. You have Bass Pro Shops, Nebraska Furniture Mart, a whole host of other things there. You also have the Sporting KC, the MLS team in Kansas City. That's where they play. Children's Mercy Park. That's all out there in the Legends outlets. And what is cool about Bonner Springs is it combines the affordability and growth potential like Miriam with attractions really, really close. So you're also, 35-ish, probably closer to 40, maybe 40 minutes away from downtown Kansas City, but it's less urban than like a Grandview, less urban than a Riverside, but a lot more developed than like Lawson or even Excelsior Springs. And the schools, depending on kind of where you're located, are pretty good. They kind of match at least Lansing School District, and you're 17-ish miles away from downtown Kansas City. And so that's why all of these things, the conflation of all these things, is why the average home price in Bonner Springs climbed from $328,000 last year to $454,000, and the median price point climbed from $310,000 to $389,000. That's a 30% year-over-year increase when you combine those numbers. That is a huge increase, and guess what? It's still not number 1. Wild stuff. So before we get to number 1, I'm going to mention the 3 areas that just missed the list. Okay, so number 13 was Tonganoxie, that grew 9% year over year. Number 12 is Smithville, that also grew 9%. And then Peculiar is an area that grew 10%, but just under Grandview and didn't quite make the list. Now, this area grew a crazy over 40% year over year, and that is Stillwell, Kansas. Stillwell has grown a huge amount, and it's not hard to see why. It combines the theme of the video, the ruralness of the areas that are wanted. It's completely inside Johnson County, so you've got the great schools, you've got this great infrastructure, everything. There's only about 7,500 people that live in Stillwell proper, so it's pretty quiet. It's smaller than Lenexa, smaller than Grandview. It's a little bit bigger than Lawson. There's only about 3,000 to 4,000 people in Lawson, so it's a really small town vibe, but like kind of like DeSoto, but you're a lot closer to the city. You're a lot closer to Overland Park and everything that is offered there. So if you want space, you want to be in Johnson County, you want to be in the most attractive county in Kansas City, and then you also want to be relatively close to the rest of everything that's going on, Stillwell, Kansas is your area. Listen to these numbers. The median price of a home was $500,000. Last year, in quarter 2 of 2024, it jumped all the way to $754,000. That's insane. And then the average price jumped from $676,000 to $935,000. That's like a 40% growth year over year. That is really, really high. And many of these are new builds. Many of these areas are brand new homes, people moving into Stillwell, wanting to build their life there. Now, if you're wondering what areas have gone down in value in Kansas City, click on this video right here.